Ladies and gentlemen, it has become a tradition to gather the top executives of our international leasing companies for a visionary discussion about the future of our and their industry. This year, this future is of course very interesting, with emergent fleet regions, the appetite for new products, and the incorporation of trends like EV, connectivity, and mobility. Welcome to the keynote panel, benefiting from leasing across the globe. My guests are Tim Albertsen, Chief Executive Officer at ALD Automotive, Marco Lessacher, Chief Executive Officer of Alphabet International, Bart Bekkers, Chief Commercial Officer of Arval, and Berno Klein-Herenbrink, Chief Commercial Officer at LeasePlan. Gentlemen, welcome. Welcome. I hope you already enjoyed the conference so far. You all have presented decent to strong 2020 year results, and we saw this morning that LeasePlan even presented one of the best results for the quarter of 2021. All of you also see ambitions in the corporate lease market. But where exactly do you believe there is room for growth? And I would like to start with Bart Bekkers from Arval. Bart, before you start answering, can you also indicate in how many countries Arval is present today to give a little bit context to the audience?
Sure, Stephen. So good afternoon, everyone. Very happy to be with you in the panel discussion. And just to indeed position Arval, we are fully owned by BNP Paribas, present in 30 countries today and offering full service leasing and sustainable mobility solutions across the globe. Also thanks to an alliance that we have where we were the founding partners together with Element on a global basis. So talking of growth, growth ahead of us. As you have probably heard already, my colleague William de Velde say this afternoon, there's a lot of growth immediately ahead of us, and that's a very optimistic view that he expressed there, but fully shared by Arval for our specific business, I would say. We have an annual barometer, the Arval Mobility Observatory barometer, which was done earlier this year. More than 5,000 fleet managers of all kinds and sizes in different countries interviewed. And also there already it came out very clearly that across Europe and well beyond, there's a lot of growth coming. Just to give you one indication, in difficult times that we have been living in recent months, even the fleet of Arval has grown by 6% year on year, and that is the situation today. So very optimistic about the future, I would say, for the whole industry. Not to even mention all the different products and services that we can talk about, but I'm suggesting we'll do that in a later phase of this discussion.
Perfect. Is there one specific region that you would like to mention for Arval where you see the most growth?
At this moment in time, it's very clearly Europe. And coming out of the lockdowns, we see that very clearly. But there are some emerging markets like LATAM, for instance, where for sure the growth is there, but with some very specific situations in countries like Brazil. The only thing that is, I would say, hampering a little bit our growth, and I'm sure that my colleagues will hear their comment on that as well, of course, is the semiconductor challenge that some of the OEMs are really now also confirming that they're confronted with, which means that the new vehicles, as we call it in our jargon, are lagging a little bit behind the order intake. The order intake of companies like ourselves at this moment is sky high, as was also mentioned this morning.
Good. I would like to continue with Tim Albertsen of ALD Automotive. Tim, in how many countries are you present at the moment?
So we are in 43 countries with ALD, and we also have an alliance with Wheels in the US, and together with other partners, we are actually in 55 countries, but we are in 43 markets today across the world with own presence.
Is Southeast Asia, is that the region where you say there is the most growth opportunity?
No, I think what Bart said is actually there is a lot of growth in Europe these days, and it's mainly driven by the fact that there is our product, the full service leasing, is becoming well, it have been a kind of a niche product for many years for corporates. We are seeing that this is a product that is now getting into consumers, to SMEs and everywhere else. So there is a structural growth, and that is very dominant in Europe, no doubt about that. Now, in Southeast Asia, as you know, we started our business last year in Malaysia, and we have plans to roll out in Southeast Asia. So we definitely think there is a lot of growth there as well, but it's more the fact that there is no real international players in Southeast Asia today, and there is a lot of our international key accounts who are present, who are expecting us to be there, and that's the reason why we started our development there.
Marco, Alphabet has a very strong footprint in Europe. You also have partnerships in Latin America and in APAC. What for you is the region where most growth can be secured?
Yes, Stephen, first of all, let me say good afternoon to the audience and to the colleagues here on stage. Happy to be here. Yeah, your question. So Alphabet at the moment is present in 31 countries. So we are in 14 markets directly, and in 17 markets we have a cooperation, which is the Alphabet OneNet. I can only echo what the colleagues said already. So yes, Asia Pacific might be a region, but when we take a look at the business there, it's maybe not the traditional fleet business. It's a little bit more the so-called B2B business. And also we see more growth here in Europe, I think, with a lot of potential also in the B2C and B2E arena. And also we see some opportunities also in the US, and this is also why we will start a cooperation there.
Okay. Then Berno from LeasePlan, I'm going to put the question a little bit in another way. You sold recently, or you announced recently, that you are going to sell the business in Australia and New Zealand to SG Fleet. If everything goes well, then probably by Q3 the deal can be closed. Are there other countries to follow?
The long term, you never know. But let's say that the way that we did it in Australia, it's a market that's consolidating. We will still be active there. We're going to be a shareholder in a combined company, which means that for our international clients, we can still offer it there. And to come back to your earlier point in terms of growth, we do indeed see the market growing. The continued trend of ownership towards usership is really supporting that. Even in the corporate segment that has been under pressure for quite a while, where you saw a lot of cost savings, where you saw also that some of the corporates have less staff that they entitle the vehicle to. We see also a growth opportunity that in a lot of cases they offer lease contracts to the entire staff via let's say a business to employee construction. That's also an opportunity that we see evolving even in Europe, and that market growing.
Okay, Bart, we are all living by subscription. I hope that all of you have a subscription to Global Fleet, to Netflix, to a gym club, many more. Do you or don't you believe in subscription for your business?
I do, and I think I'm not the only one. Let's be honest, full service lease in itself is already some form of subscription. So there's many myths around what subscription is all about and what the difference is with our core business today. So I think the features of flexibility will further increase, and the needs of the clients and also their behaviors with the generations also are changing. Having said that, it is still in the purest definition of subscription, a niche product today. And it's also a trade-off that companies need to make, because flexibility has a price, of course. There is a price difference to be looked at. If you can plan in advance your fleet, being a big corporate customer, usually we try to give also the advice around the asset choice, the duration, the mileage, etc. Then full service lease in its traditional form is, of course, probably going to be the cheapest way in terms of TCO, but there are clearly changing patterns. The latest trend in terms of home working, flexible working, and what have you, does require companies like ourselves to reinvent ourselves. And it started with midterm rental, and it will continue with different forms and ways of our products. But it's all about the service bundle as a whole. And again, I do think that full service lease, as it exists in its traditional shape, is already a kind or a form of subscription. But yes, I do believe that the products will become more and more flexible, and subscription is the name of the game for the years to come as well.
Okay. Is there any one of you that would like to comment on how far flexibility can go in terms of the product? Perhaps Marco?
Yes, happy to answer here, Stephen. I really believe that subscription is a part of our traditional business. It's just a further development, and we, with our product Alpha Rent, I think we're well prepared across all over Europe to offer really flexible solutions. Yeah, and yes, maybe people talk about this topic like Netflix in the way Amazon is doing with Prime, Apple, and Spotify and some others. But for me, a subscription is very easy. It's a rental product, yeah, in the end. It's just a question how much contracts you add one after another. So, and this is something we already offer in many countries. So I believe in that product. And yes, I see a potential, but as Bart elaborated already, it's also in the end a question of the price. Yeah? So flexibility, of course, sometimes has a certain price tag, and this is something we have to consider.
Okay. Yes. Tim, I see that you would like to add a comment.
Yeah, I think, you have seen a lot of introduction of new services and products, let's say, over the last couple of years. I think it actually reflects the fact that our customers are getting a bit more sophisticated when they want to actually offer mobility to their employees or to their partners, and I think it's very clear that, let's say, 5-10 years ago we had a kind of a one size fits all, and that's not the case anymore. I think we are now actually, as we have always been in this industry, quite innovative around the customer centricity, developing products that actually allows us to be much more specific on serving the needs of our customers in the different segments, and of course flexibility is one of these. There is the car sharing, and there is a lot of other products that's coming in there, and it's just a matter of, or let's say it's just a reflection of the fact that our customers are evolving and their needs are evolving, and we are evolving with that, which I think is a great opportunity for us, and I think it's a good sign of the industry actually being extremely agile and responsive to the needs of our customers.
Berno, would like to continue with you, please, because both ALD and Arval are also betting on new mobility solutions next to the car, while LeasePlan always stresses out car as a benefit and car as a service. So you are really zooming in on the vehicle and the services around that vehicle. How long can you stay focusing on the car without opening up the horizon to new mobility offerings?
Yeah, so it's a good point. We're trying to do what we're good at, and that's indeed car as a service. But our customers are in need of total mobility solutions. They're looking indeed at combinations of different forms of transport, certain flexibility as the choice. Do I take my bike, or do I not have a car for a certain period in time? What we try to do is to partner with providers that give the whole suite of options and that are good at providing the platform and making sure that we can play the role in their car as a service. And by focusing on that part, which we believe we do very well, we can optimize also that offering to the customer with strong partners.
Good. Bart, you would like to mention something?
Very briefly, of course, you don't have to do everything yourself, and I fully agree with Berno there. Our core business is asset management historically. Having said that, our customers, our corporate customers and their employees do expect integrated solutions, and alternative mobility, sustainable mobility solutions are the name of the game going forward. And so, as you must have seen, we've recently made a deal with Sixt, if you remember, and that's typically a partnership where you try to integrate in a seamless as possible way the services. You don't have to do everything yourself, but you have to try and meet the expectations of the customer. Right?
Okay, I would like to continue with Marco. Marco, let's talk fleet electrification. In Europe, it's already the case. In North America, it probably will come soon if we follow what the Biden administration is planning. And in Latin and also in APAC, we see as well an increasing awareness that cost efficiency comes with emission reduction and so fleet electrification. What are your ambitions when it comes to fleet electrification?
I think we are well prepared for the topic, and we see with the topic electrification a huge potential, especially when we take a little bit the topic in mind, where that it has to be authentic. This is the most important thing. So we just should not do it to do it. There should be a reason behind. And finally, always the fleet decision maker has to take the final decision. And we also, and I guess I said it already in our last discussion, there is not the case that every car fits for every demand. So we really have to find out where do we need a BEV and where do we need a combustion engine. So, and when we take a look at it, this is really a cultural change in the mindset, not only in Europe, across all over the world. Just keep the topic Fridays for Future in mind, to keep the developments, especially in Europe, also when it's about the European legislation, when it's about upcoming elections. We see a clear trend into that direction. And also from the OEMs. Only when I take a look into my own parent company, BMW, when we take a look at Mercedes, Audi, and the others, the OEMs speed up the process because they bring much more new cars on the road, with much better technique, with better range, with better capabilities and all this stuff. And also from the governments, we see a lot of support for all the infrastructure we need for that. And that drives the process. But it's not only about the car, it's also about further topics we can do. So integration into e-car policy, when it's about driver trainings, when it's about really finding the right car for the right purpose. I think this, all in all, is a very important thing, and we see a good potential. And last statement, when I took a little bit a look into our order intake, into our new business in 2021, we see that nearly 25% of all the orders are now EVs.
Okay, would like to continue on that topic, but now with Berno. Berno, LeasePlan is committed to electrify its complete fleet and that of its customers by 2030. If I look at the press release this morning, you are stating that at the moment for Q1, there is roughly 70% of new orders that are EVs. That is not enough.
No, and not yet, but it's definitely accelerating. And in particular, if we look at some of the, let's say, the front-runner countries, like Norway, Netherlands, also the UK at the moment, once it starts, it ramps up really, really fast. And it's a combination of if the infrastructure is there, if more and more people start driving an electric vehicle, and a lot of vehicles actually begin their life as a corporate vehicle, then you will see that acceleration of electrification will continue. We still believe that 2030 is a crucial date. We've put a stick in the sand there to go full electric. We still believe that's feasible. But a bit to Marco's point, horses for courses, there are still specific situations where you may need a diesel because you simply can't charge and you have to drive a very long distance. That's of course also part of the reality. But let's say we make an effort, we believe in it, we try to help our customers, make the products available, the solutions, to make that happen as quickly as possible.
Okay. Tim, by 2025, ALD expects 30% of its new car deliveries to be EV, and that figure needs to rise to 50% by 2030. Do you find this an ambitious target, knowing that OEMs, for example, Volkswagen and Toyota are turning to electric? And Volkswagen, for example, is expecting battery electric vehicles to account for 70% of new sales by 2030 in Europe.
Yeah, I think it's quite an ambitious target. I mean, I think honestly, we talk about 10 years ahead, and when you think about what happens in 2 years these days, it's difficult to predict completely where we are, I guess, with things. But we think that 50% is a realistic target. I think it's true that, we have seen in the past, that the development is unfortunately a bit slower than we would anticipate and actually expect. I think there's a lot of statements out there that potentially is a bit more bold in terms of trying to make the headlines. Also on the political scene. That than is actually what is more realistic. But I think what we can say is I think this industry is actually doing all that we can to be part of this, let's say, electrification. I think, first of all, it's a great opportunity for us, for our customers to actually renew our relationships. It's a completely new way of actually engaging with our clients. I think for the first time in many years, the clients have much more need for us than in the past, because this is a complex equation. You really need specialists to make this happen in an efficient way. And here we have a real role to play. So I think that's great. And I think if all the right, let's say, measures are in place, we would be happy to pitch for 100% in 2030, But at this point, we think 50% is potentially a bit more realistic, but we'll see.
Okay, good. Bart, Igwan Rosli of BP asks for a more proactive approach from its leasing providers as an extension, sort of an extension of his fleet team that he is lacking at the moment. And here he expects a full digital support. Apparently, he is not really satisfied with the digital capabilities of the leasing companies today. What is your reaction on that?
Well, I think he's right, of course, because if that's what he wants, we need to help him sooner rather than later. I think companies like ourselves have a double challenge, that is to make sure that our big clients internationally also get delivered consistent services, digital or not, by the way. But if you want to digitalize, you need to be sure that you can also at the same time scale up and deliver in the most cost-effective way those services. And then at the same time, coming back to what Tim was just referring to, in the new ecosystem of electrification and all the services that go with it, there is even, as we speak, services being added at light speed that need to be delivered well as well. So I think companies like ourselves are investing all the resources and the money that goes with that to speed up the digitalization. And it's a question of time, but it's coming fast. There's one thing that, of course, is also quite important, that is data security.
Yes.
Because the tools that we are using nowadays have, of course, a higher risk that we are exposed to. And cybersecurity is part of the game as well. But I would say to our friends from BP, bear with us, bear with the sector. We are speeding up together. And they will be part of this ecosystem as well, by the way, with the charging infrastructure that they are engaging on. They know that this is the real challenge to crack.
Okay. Finally, what question do you have for the other executive in this panel? I would like to start with Berno of LeasePlan. What question do you have for Tim of ALD Automotive?
Thank you, Stephen. Tim, question I would like to ask you, what company or CEO outside of our sector do you see as a true visionary that we all should take as an example?
That's a good question. If we stay in the automotive sector, I have to say Tesla is doing an incredible job. When we talk about electrification, I mean, these guys are the guys who are behind this. Without Tesla and without Elon Musk, this would not have taken on, at this point. So I think, I don't know him personally, so I don't know if he's a real, a real star to follow. But I have to say, what Tesla have been doing in this is amazing, and I think Elon Musk have been really pushing that hard. So I think he's a good example of how you actually take on an old-fashioned industry and you actually break it bit by bit, and actually bring it into a real speed and push. So yeah,
Good.
that's probably where I would look.
Okay. What is your question, Tim, for Bart of Arval?
I have many, but let me just start with one here then. No, I think about what could be interesting to understand. I think I think we're an industry that has always been very innovative and following our clients. Where do you see the biggest challenge for us? Actually, not this time to follow our clients and actually not being as good as we have been in the past to serve our clients.
I would think that a couple of topics that we touched on already are the biggest challenge. Where does our business stop and where do we need to focus on our core competences, and how far can we go outside of what we are used to doing? And we touched on it already, sustainable mobility solutions beyond the company car, beyond the asset as such is one of those challenges. Digital is clearly one of those other challenges as well, because we don't have a few hundred clients as companies. We have many drivers and employees in the broadest sense in our corporate base to take good care of, and doing that in the most appropriate way, digital or otherwise, is I think the two main challenges. So staying within our present environment for the next 5 years, I think this is the biggest challenge.
Good. Bart, would like to continue with you. What question do you have for Marco of Alphabet?
Well, I was initially going to ask him a question about his views on electrification, but you did that already, Stephen. So I'm going to change my question then to Marco. And in fact, a question to Marco personally would be, how does it feel nowadays to be part of an OEM that has changed really drastically in terms of their views on electrification as such, but also how does Marco look at multi-brand being an important dimension or not of his company's strategy and of the sector as a whole?
Oh, thank you for the question, Bart. So first of all, I have to say, it feels good to be part of the BMW Group, because that also gives us a lot of access to a lot of resources, innovation, information, future developments, especially what I mentioned regarding the EVs. I think that is a unique combination here that we have. So we like it a lot. So I'm super happy with that. And the second question is what you mentioned regarding the multi-make. Yeah, we really believe, and a lot of people around me, it is absolutely crucial to have the multi-make capabilities. Yeah, because when you want to enter into a fleet, it's not only a fleet of premium cars, and we heard the brands already today, the LCVs and so on and so forth. It's really important that you have a 100% approach, and that is and was always in the DNA of Alphabet. And I can tell you at the moment, when I take a look into the figures, I can only confirm we are really successful on that. So, and this builds also the foundation for a successful future for us. And therefore, I think it's an excellent combination between being part of an OEM, on the other hand, also being an independent consultant and provider for leasing and fleet solutions.
Marco, what question do you have for Berno?
Yeah, Berno, but I have to take a look at my paper here. Can you please give us an outlook on how LeasePlan will look like in the next maybe 3 to 5 years? And maybe a little bit connected to my question, what I got from just before is, and how do you see our industry and the role of the OEMs within the next 3 to 5 years?
Maybe the first one, 3 to 5 years down the line, we are heavily investing at the moment in digitizing our company. So we will be, if all goes well, fully digitized by that time, which means delivering our services in a digital way, but also at digital cost levels. So supporting our customers indeed with more attractive offering. But in particular, also the flexibility that comes with that, which we find that our customers believe to be very important. And to the second part of your question, the role of the OEMs, I think that the OEMs have demonstrated that they can react very well to some of the challenges, like, for instance, what Tesla has brought to them. Really surprised to see how indeed Volkswagen, that they have almost reinvented themselves, which proves that their game is certainly not over. And I think that of course there will be a lot of changes. If you look at the micro factory concept that you see from some of the newcomers into the market, so there will be a lot of disruption. I think that the OEMs will be challenged a lot, but they will be there. But there will also be a lot of more choice, more variants in vehicles available, whether it's in LCVs or in passenger vehicles, which I think is really good for the market, and that indeed forces also the innovation that we like, and that is really good for everybody.
Good. Gentlemen, thank you very much. We need to end the panel discussion. Before we go, message to Tim and Berno. I know that today it's still a rumor, but can we agree here that Global Fleet will be the first one to be informed if in the months to come there could be an acquisition by ALD of LeasePlan. Will Global Fleet be the first one to know about it?
We don't comment on rumors, Stephen. I'm sorry to say, but
Thank you very much. Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much and good luck with your business in 2021 and also later on.